So, good morning. We welcome you all to the fourth session of the Data Science for the Biologist program. So, that's great, Bharat and Santesh. So, today's session is dedicated to the metagenomics, where we will learn why we need to study metagenomics and what is metagenomics. And we will also learn about microbiome composition, taxonomy, and we will also learn about various metagenomic sequencing techniques, NGS and 16S hypervariable regions, and we will also look into the gut microbiota and the human health, how the metagenomics play important role in the human health. So before going ahead, let's review what we have learned in our last session. So the last session, we started with the transcription processes. Then we get an overview of splicing. Next, we learned about various methods that are used to quantify mRNA. That include RT-PCR, Northern blot, microarray. Then we also learned about NGS RNA-seq technique. Next, we learned about various steps that are required for RNA-seq data analysis. And we learned about what are different algorithms that are used to perform RNA-seq analysis. Next, we demonstrated to you how we can produce a gene expression table from the raw sequencing reads. Then we understand about what are different aspects of a gene expression table, what it represents, like what are the columns and where are the genes. And we also understand about how we can visualize our data in Excel, as well as we demonstrated to you how you can perform log scale transformation data visualization in the R. So the last time we have asked you to complete these assignments. So how many of you able to complete both of these assignments or any of these assignments? So just type your answer in the chat box. If you have completed 1 and 2, just type 1 and 2. And if you have completed any one of them, just type 1 or that particular option. Okay, Sandesh, so are you facing any specific issue? That's great, Bharat. So even if you have facing any particular issue, you can post your query in the chat box today as well. And beside, you can also put your query in the at the forum. So before moving into today's session, let me ask few questions and let's see what you have understood last time. So what output will you get by running this pipeline? A PCA plot, B differentially expressed genes, C gene expression table, and D genome visualization. So if you run this particular pipeline, what the result that you are going to obtain? Bharat, excellent. You are absolutely correct. We will get a gene expression table. So, which of following are the two algorithms that can be used for before mapping? A. PCR clean and trigonometric. B. Clean primer and isolaso. And C. Eco and ajar. And D. potato and PCR clean. So, which of two algorithms that are used before the mapping? Yeah. So you are absolutely correct. Option A, that is PCR clean and trigonometric. So do you remember what PCR clean do? So do you remember what are these PCR clean and trigonometric doing? Yes, absolutely correct. So PCR clean remove the PCR duplicate and trigonometric it removes the adapters or any non-technical sequences. Technical sequences, sorry. So which of following provides summary statistics of a data? A scatter plot, B a bar plot, C a box plot, and D a scatter plot. Yes, you're absolutely correct. That is box plot that provides a summary statistics of a data. So it provides us minimum and maximum value, then first quartile, third and the third quartile. Beside, it also let us know what are different outliers in the data. So now let's begin with today's session. So let me ask, how many of you are familiar with the metagenomics term? That's great, Bharat. So now let's understand what is metagenomics. So metagenomics, it refers to a both research technique and a research field. So it can be defined as the genomic analysis of a microbial DNA from the environmental community. Metagenomics tools enable the population analysis of unculturable or previously unknown sequences. Why metagenomics important? So it is important as only around 1 to 2% of the bacteria can be cultured in a laboratory. So the ability to identify microbes without prior knowledge of that a sample contain is actually open a new door to various types branches of the science, that is microbial ecology, virology, uh, then microbiology, environmental sciences, and biomedical research. So, so why microbiome is important? So today we know that the endogenous human microbial community contribute to critical metabolic, physiological, and immunological functions that include differentiation and maturation of host mucosa and its immune system, food digestion and nutrition, energy generation, metabolic regulation and control of fat storage, processing and detoxification of environmental chemicals. And beside it, maintenance of skin and mucosa barrier functions, and development and regulation of immune system, and fine tuning of its reaction pattern, that is the balance between pro-inflammatory and anti-inflammatory processes. And it also contributes to the prevention of the invasion and the growth of disease promoting microorganisms. So, but are different types of microbiome sequencing, that is whole genome, 16 sRNA, and amplicon sequencing. So before going into the details of these techniques, let's understand one of the basic unit, that is ribosome. So can anyone of you tell me which type of ribosome is present in prokaryotes and eukaryotes? So can you differentiate what is the difference between eukaryotes and prokaryotes ribosome? So to some extent you are right, but I'm asking about the ribosome. 16S is actually ribosomal RNA. So something like 70S or 80S, are you familiar with these terms? Ribosomal subunits. So even if you are familiar with 70S and 80S, which type of ribosome is actually present in prokaryotes? So which type of ribosome is present in prokaryotes and eukaryotes? So yeah, you're absolutely correct. 70S ribosome is present in the, so the ribosome is at the core of the translation machinery of all organisms and assured two key functions, that is the decoding of a genetic information that is contained within RNA and the formation of the peptide bonds. So it is a ribonucleic protein particle of 70S in the prokaryotes and the 80S in the eukaryotes. Further, this 70S is consists of the two components, that is 30S subunit and 50S. 30S subunit is small unit while 50S subunit is large. While in the eukaryotes, it has 40S and the 60S. So as the ribosome is universal and submitted to a strong selection process, so the ribosomal RNA, what are these ribosomal RNA? So these are extensively used a reference molecule, particularly in the phylogeny, and at its origin of the division of living organism into the three major domains, that is bacteria, eukarya, and archaebacteria. So the ribosomal RNA genes, these genes have known for many years to very much less across tree of the life than most of the genes. So these ribosomal RNA are the main structure and catalytic components of the ribosome and molecular machine that translate RNA into the protein. So it is the slow rate of change of certain regions of these ribosomal RNA genes that makes them a contemporary standard for the life detection. So this particular 16S RNA is the component of 30S subunit that binds to the Shine-Delgado sequence. So the gene encoding for this 16S RNA are known as 16S RNA, 16S ribosomal RNA genes, and these are used in reconstructing phylogeny. So if you are familiar with that, what are the phylogenetic tree and why they are important? So the phylogenetic trees actually explain the evolutionary relationship between different organisms. So this 16S RNA ribosomal gene is the main taxonomic genomic markers. Yes, to identify the difference between the organization. Yes, to some extent you are right. So the 16S ribosomal RNA gene is the taxonomic genomic markers that is common to almost all the bacteria and the archaebacteria. So this particular 16S RNA, it allows one to examine genetic diversity in microbial community specifically, but microbes are present in a sample. So how the metagenomic sequencing is actually proceed? First of all, there is extraction of the DNA and the RNA. Then it is shattered into the small pieces, and subsequently these sequences are read by the sequencers. So finally, these are the reads. Once this is how you can proceed with NGS metagenomic sequencing. So once you have reads, so these can be detected with the different colors, as each color is actually represent a particular nucleotide. So the metagenomics is the study of total DNA extracted from the environment. So it could be like from a human sample. So instead of having to culture a specific microorganism, in the metagenomics, you actually extract its DNA and then sequence the DNA. So metagenomic sequencing allow us to directly extract and sequence DNA from the environmental samples. One of such method is shotgun sequencing. So in the shotgun sequencing, so once we have all the pieces of the DNA within sample shared into the small pieces, so then these small pieces are sequenced, and resulting sequences contain small regions that overlap with the other sequences, and computer programs can be used to piece together these sequences. And as like we search for a particular reference genome, so if there is no reference genome, in that case de novo assembly is done. So it is important to note that it is often not possible to recreate entire genome of all the organisms present in a sample. Instead, so they are left with multiple fragments of a different genomes. So these fragments can be compared to the complete genome, which is also known as reference. So as well, we can search into various databases to figure out which bacteria are originally present in the sample, as well as what genes they have in their genome. So the information about what genes are present help us to predict how these organisms might be functioning within a human body. So there are different sequencers are used particularly for the metagenomics like Minion, Illumina, PacBio. So the 16S amplicon sequence is a recently developed technique that is widely used to study microbiome directly in its environment. So such metagenomic focus on either 16S and 18S ribosomal RNA that has to be amplified with the PCR. So the 16S sequences contain a hypervariable region that provides species-specific signature that is useful for the identification of particular microbial species. So the bacterial 16S gene contain 9 hypervariable regions. So from V12 till V9. So these hypervariable regions are 30 to 100 base pair long that are involved in secondary structure formation of a small ribosomal unit. So the degree of the conservation varies widely between hypervariable regions, with more conserved region correlating to higher level taxonomy, while less conserved regions are confined to the lower labels, such as genus or the species. So this 16S sequence allows the comparison of all the hypervariable region, that is approximately 1500 bases long, as it can be prohibited expensive for the study to identify or characterize diverse bacterial communities. So these studies commonly utilize Illumina platform, which produce reads at a rate 50-fold to 12,000-fold, and it is a less expensive in comparison to the pyro sequencing or the Sanger sequencing. So what is the SILVA? This is one of very important comprehensive resource that is used for quality check and aligning the ribosomal RNA sequence data. So for example, we in general, we like human reference genome for the human it is used. So for the bacterial species specifically, to align or to find out which genomic species is present or which bacterial species it contains. So the major database that is used, that is SILVA. The other databases could be Green Genes. So these are very important databases whenever you're dealing with the metagenomics. So this SILVA provide comprehensive quality checked and it is regularly updated. It has a data sets of aligned small sequences that in 16S and 18S, and the large subunits that in 23S and 28S ribosomal RNA. For all of the three domains of the life, that is bacteria, archaebacteria, and the eukaryotes. So one of the projects that actually study human metagenomics in much detail, that is American Gut Project. So what is this American Gut Project? So it is the largest crowdsourced citizen science project till date. So it obtained fecal, oral, skin, and other body side samples collected from thousands of the participants, represent the largest human microbiome cohort in the existence. So the detailed health, lifestyle, diet data associated with each of sample is collected that enable us to deep examination to understand the association between human microbiome and the factors like diet, that is from vegan to any non-veg, and then the seasonal and amount of the sleep, disease states, such as IBD, diabetes, autism, spectrum disorder, as well as many various other factors. So this is one of the major projects that is available from the human microbiome gut. So now let's understand what is gut microbiome and how and why it exists there. So in healthy adults, the gut microbiome exists in the state of mutual symbiosis with this host. So let me ask one question. What is a symbiotic relationship? Are you familiar with this term, symbiosis? So what is a symbiotic relationship? Symbiotic relationship between microbial and the host. Are you familiar with this? Yeah. So the mutual coexistence, both the organism live together. In fact, with the mutual benefits. Yes, that is the more correct term. So symbiotic relationship where both host as well as microbial getting benefit from each other. So the environment of the gut dictate both the composition and the functional productivity of adult gut microbiota, which may interact with the host through the presentation of various ligands such as PAMPs, that is pathogen associated molecule patterns, and it produces various metabolites in return. It could also produce various amino acids. So these molecules modulate immune homeostasis in the GI tract and at remote mucosal surfaces and organ by their entry into the circulation. So the gut microbiome has an enormous impact on the life of the host and main the diet that plays a fundamental role in shaping microbiome composition and its function. So the way a particular food or a diet is processed is a key factor in determining the amount and the type of material reaching the gut bacteria and influencing the growth and the production of microbiota metabolites. So in the past, uh, it has been found that gut microbiome play a key role in various diseases. So it could be a various chronic disease, it could be even a cancer. So microbiome play vital role. So beside, it is also some of the childhood diseases that are get actually affected by gut microbiome. So the infant gut bacteria microbiome rapidly diversify over the first year of the life in the healthy infants, right? It is delayed in those who develop allergy or asthma or who are malnutritioned. So a number of pre, peri and post-natal environmental exposure are known to modulate risk for these childhood diseases, that is formula feeding, antimicrobial use and exposure to environmental tobacco. So these same exposure also relate to gut microbiome composition at discrete development time points and to successfully develop the different disease. So now we have talked a lot about what is this microbiome composition and learned about these microbiome. So now let's run a simple metagenomics pipeline to understand what are these, how we can study these gut microbiome. So here we are going to use a particular, we have taken a sample from the human gut project, American gut project. So let's go over T1 for platform and let's run a metagenomics pipeline. So this is a here we have taken the one sample that is from the human American Gut Project. So once you are on this T1 platform, just let me know so that we can understand how we can analyze metagenomics analysis, how we can perform metagenomics analysis. So what it represent and how you can understand what are differences and what are these different types of input files. So just type, if you are on this T1 server, just type your answer yes or no in the chat box. So are you on the, okay, Atma. So apart from Atma, who else is on a T1 platform? And let's run a pipeline for the metagenomics analysis. Okay. So Sandesh, are you able to log into T1 server? Okay. So as we know that on the T1 server, we have various sections. So if you come into the DNA and the RNA section, so that is right, left side, the bottom side. So here's the first pipeline, that is metagenomics or the microbiome. Okay, so you can at least do all the exercises. So most of times, if you are doing a particular assignment, so in those assignments, complete description of each step is provided. So it will lead to how we are going to do every analysis. So even if you're doing any particular assignment, so it will explain you step by step manner that why and how you can run a particular pipeline. So here under the DNA and the RNA, the third pipeline from the bottom side, that is metagenome and microbiome. So that those assignments are in the courses. So these, as I have usually, once we complete a lecture, so we give you a give assignment on to complete a particular course. So under those courses, you always find assignments. So here you will find this drop down. So if you click on this drop down, the first pipeline that we are going to run, that is demo metagenomics regular. So if you click on this first pipeline, so here we have already, as this is the demonstration or the project pipeline, so we have uploaded one particular sample. So if you click on this, you will direct it to the this page, metagenomics or the microbiome. So are you with me? So, okay, so with the start, we able to upload our files. So here we have already told you that we have taken a sample from American Gut Project. So here we have taken one particular sample and its ID is provided. If you just want to look at this sample, so you can click into the URL is provided for this particular sample that we are analyzing under this particular pipeline. So by clicking on the OK, we able to upload this particular sample. So once we able to upload our sample, the next is we are going to map on a reference genome or a reference database. So here we know that what is our reference database. So what's the problem, Atma, that you are facing? That why you are not able to access? Do you have your credentials detail, login credentials with you? So you just need to log in with your mail ID that you have linked with this particular tbanfo server, and just need to copy. So I think Deepsa can look into this, why you don't have an access. Do you have your credential detail and you just need to paste that particular password with. So you have yet not worked on any of the pipeline. Have you run any pipeline? Okay, so I so I will show those steps again, just meanwhile. So as we have told you that once you able to upload your sequence, the next is alignment. So the tool, the method that we are using, that is Bataille2T. So here the database that is we are going to use. So as we have already, I told you, Silva is one of very important database that is used to align 16S ribosomal sequences. So then once you're able to uh, align your sequence in the and able to search your sequence in a database that is Silva, then you are going to count the abundance of the OTU, that is a particular species. So the next algorithm that is getting highlighted, that is POSCOUNT. So it will count the count the all the sequences. So it will generate abundance table. So once the alignment is done, then you are actually counting the reads that are aligned to a database, right? So it will count and it will produce the abundance. So the next option that is getting highlighted, that is annotation. So what this annotation is doing, so if you look at the step, that is name replace. So it will replace the ID with the particular bacterial species name. So what it is going to do, as it is explained in even step. So the job replace the standard ID name with the reference sequence equivalent to provide the annotated table of your read counts. So once you click on that, then the next option that is getting highlighted, that is end. With the end, we able to complete this pipeline. So Atma, whether you able to log in? So with okay, be able to complete this pipeline. So just I'm asking Atma whether you're able to log in or not.
Dr. Harpreet, you can continue.
Okay.
She will be logged.
Okay. So what are the outputs that we got? So how many of you able to complete this pipeline? So apart from Atma, okay, so that's great. So what we got? So now let's look at each of these output one by one. So the first, this is the mapping stat. So I'm just right now, I'm skipping this. So the next is So this is very important. The third, this third, that is metagenomics task table after annotation. This is the main output that we are going to obtain. So and this is what the annotation, right? So it will explain a particular ID belongs to a which type of bacteria. So you will obtain a different IDs against this annotation. Then this is our main file where we will obtain how many counts are there for each of these IDs or OTU. And the fourth one, that is, it will count. So here we will understand against each of these metagenomic 16S ID, how many counts are there, right? For each of these, against each of these 16S RNA ID. So it like here we have the 2 counts, then here we have 3 counts. So these are giving you this kind of output. So after aligning your reads, so this is how you can get the information. So then against each of these ID, exactly which microbial species is present. So that is available in the table, annotation table. So this is how you can run a metagenomics pipeline. So is it clear to you? So just Atma, so if you start creating this pipeline, so let me just show you in a minute. So how you can run this pipeline. So briefly, I'm just for you, if you click on this drop down that is present under the metagenomics or the microbiome. So if you click on the first pipeline, that is demo, metagenomics regular. So once you click on the option here, each option is automatically getting highlighted that you need to perform. First, we are doing the uploading our file that is taken from the American Gut Project. Then we are aligning our reads into the reference database, that is Silva. And then the next, it will going to count your reads. So then next is annotation, that it going to replace your ID with the particular microbial details, species detail, and then you can end this pipeline. So this is a simplest way how you can generate a metagenomics table, a abundance table, that is for a single sample. So if we have multiple samples, in that case, we will get a multiple abundance table. So now let's go back to the presentation. So this is what the main annotation table that we obtain. Here we have a sample, then we have this particular ID, and then the corresponding annotation. So which type of bacteria is present, and then what is its kingdom. So all the taxonomic detail we will obtain from the annotation file. So this is how much abundant of each of these species in the particular sample. So for example, here we have this particular sample. So if you have multiple sample, then you have these multiple values. So the gut is not the only microbial community that we live with. Specific microbiome coexist with their host and are vital for our health. We can use metagenomic sequencing and measures like alpha and beta diversity to study how they vary from individual to the individual. So these studies offer important insight into the way microbial community function and how the microbiome composition is linked to the host conditions. So if you have any questions now so far, you can post your query in the chat box. So I'm for a minute, I'm just for a second, I'm just pausing myself before moving into the next part. So if you have no questions, so the next is amplicon sequencing. So now we learn how we can compute microbiome diversity, and how we can compute microbiome composition under different conditions. So for amplicon sequencing, we need to sequence a particular region. So in the 16S, so the in the for the in the 16S ribosomal, there are various hypervariable regions. So those hypervariable regions can be sequenced. For example, this V4 hypervariable region. So this particular region can be sequenced to understand what type of particular microbial species is present, as these hypervariable regions are actually specific for each type of a sample. So they are unique. So the degree of conservation varies widely between hypervariable regions, with more conserved regions correlating to higher label taxonomy, while less conserved regions represent the lower taxonomic labels, such as genus, species. So these genus, species are, we can call them as a taxonomic units. So how these amplicons are studied. So here, forward and in the reverse reads are merged to form high quality consensus base call at each of the position. Then merged reads are classified into the OTU. So what are these OTU? These are operational taxonomic units. So these taxonomic units is used to classify groups of closely related individuals. So these OTU classification can be done by hierarchical clustering, uClust, CD-hit, Bayesian clustering. So there are different methods that are used to analyze these OTU classification. So in the 16S metagenomics approach, OTU are clustered. OTU are the clusters of similar sequence variants of the 16S ribosomal DNA marker genes. So now let's look at another project, that is gut-brain axis project. So from which we are going to take our data for our amplicon abundance analysis. So the aim of this project is to change gut microbiota in the mice through antibiotic treatment followed by GABs of a donor stool from other mice and determine if the significant behavioral changes are induced or not. So here the mice are given with a high fat diet and had a significant and selective disruption in the exploratory, cognitive, and stereotypical behavior compared with the mice with the controlled diet microbiota in absence of significant difference in any body weight. So the sequence-based phylogenetic analysis confirmed the presence of distinct core of microbiota between these groups, with alteration in the alpha and the beta diversity and modulation in the taxonomic distribution and statistically significant alteration to a metabolically active areas. So the here two type of diet is provided. One is high fat, the other is chaw. So in the high fat diet microbiota also disrupted markers of intestinal variate function. Instead, increased circulating endotoxin and increased lymphocyte expression of ionized calcium binding adaptase molecule. So toll-like receptors 2 and 4. Finally, evaluation of the brain homogeneous revealed that the HFD shaped microbiota increased neuroinflammation and disrupt cerebrovascular homeostasis. So this is what is all about brain, this gut brain axis project. So how you can run a 16-and amplicon application sequencing. Here we are using the data from this particular project that we discussed, that here we have two types of the sample, that is high fat and chaw. So this amplicon analysis will let us how we can find the differences between the different microbial strains that we have obtained from two different conditions. So how they affect a particular microbiome within in a sample in a different conditions. So even apart from these two conditions, so usually 16S amplicon analysis is used to analyze any two condition. It could be that whenever you analyzing microbiome of a diseased person or a normal person, so you can compare that, and how you can compare and what are the main major points that need to be considered, that we are going to learn by running this pipeline. So in this particular, we are going to use two well-known microbiome analysis pipeline. One is DADA2, and to generate the plots, we are going to use the phyloseq. So these are the two main tools that are integrated to analyze 16S amplicon data. One is data pipeline. So that will going to produce your amplicon abundance. So the phyloseq is actually going to generate all the important plots that are required to analyze microbiome analysis between a different disease conditions. So now let's go back over to the platform again. So if you go to again to the area of analysis, here the last pipeline that is on the left side, that is amplicon 16S and 18S. So if you click on the drop down, here we will get this demo pipeline, that is demo metagenomics amplicon abundance pipeline. That is, here we have taken the two types of the samples from the gut brain axis project. So here we have two types of condition, that is one is high fat mice treated, the other one is chaw. So if you click on this, here the first with the start, we are going to upload this file. So next, step that is getting highlighted, that is there are various steps that is are under the data to pipeline. So that what is this data to? That is divisive amplicon deionizing algorithm. So here the chyme is actually included for the analysis purpose to so first option that is getting highlighted under the data to pipeline, that is QC control, QC filtering. So it will assign the file name for the filtered FASTQ files. So there are the different steps. So once you're able to perform quality control filtering, that is QC filtering, the next step that is replication count. So this function indicates where the biological material is the same in each replicate, but the technical steps used to measure gene expression performed separately. So the next is pair merge. It will merge forward and the reverse reads to obtain a single complete sequence. So if you remember, here we have parents. So that's why we need to merge that pair. Next step that is getting highlighted, that is cluster consensus. So this cluster consensus, it forms the groups based on the present differences of the each group. So it is going to produce your OTU. So this data pipeline, it constructs an amplicon sequence variant table. So that is high resolution version of OTU table produced by traditional methods. So here in this particular table, this OTU table, sequence table is a matrix with the row corresponding by the samples, and columns will represent the named of the sequence variants. So as once when we were doing the pairing, the chimeras are formed when complementary sequences are combined from different taxes. So it will create the mixture of two different sequences. So to remove those chimera, so the next step that we are going to perform, that is we are going to remove those chimera that are by error just might produce some of the chimeras. So the next, it will assign the taxons. Then to generate the plots, once you have those tables, so to analyze those tables, we are going to use two algorithms, that is phyloseq and the A. So it will so now with this we will complete to this pipeline. So this is what the table that we will obtain after running this pipeline. So this is called a OTU abundance table. So once we complete this pipeline, so if you click on the drop down here, you will get various types of output. So this is what the phylogenetic taxonomy table. So let's first look at this only table. So here we have OTU, and then it's correspond to each of different taxonomic unit. So taxonomic spaces. So this is the table that we have obtained. Then we have, as we have already implemented phyloseq. So finally be able to complete the complete analysis, and we have obtained particular phyloseq plots. So if you go to this phyloseq plots, so what they represent, so let's understand one by one. So first it will explain alpha diversity. So are you familiar with what is alpha diversity and the beta diversity? So are you familiar with what is alpha diversity and the beta diversity? Okay, so the alpha diversity is actually explain the microbiome composition differences between a particular sample in a single sample. So like here, suppose this is our one sample, so it representing a one sample. So what are different species are present within that particular sample is actually indicate the alpha diversity. So this is actually in terms of the plot we have. So within each sample, how much a particular type of species is present. So like here we have different species. So different species of the microbiome is present. So it alpha diversity explain diversity of multiple microbial species within a sample. While if I'm talking about between the sample, so that will explain that indicated the beta diversity. So this is just a composition table. So like here it will explain. So I'm just telling you that how you once you have this table, you will get various type of information. You have, you know that with if you are analyzing diversity of microbial species within a sample, that is alpha diversity. If you're analyzing diversity of the sample between the diversity of the microbial species between the samples, like here, so that is called what is beta diversity. Is it clear to you, Bharat, now? Okay, so this is the first table. So even if you run so the from the data pipeline we will have the this OTU abundance table, where we know that for a particular species how many OTU are present. So OTU is actually taxonomical unit. So it could be whenever you're talking about whether it's a kingdom or you are talking about a species level. So those are taxonomic units. So from data pipeline, we will able to get a particular table. So that will represent us how much abundance of each of OTU is present. So then the phyloseq pipeline, actually it will produce this all analysis plots. So this is the first the composition. So it will explain how much of each species is present, microbial species is present within sample or between the sample. So you can, this is what the abundance. So from the abundance table, this is our abundance composition table. So here we like here multiple species. So you can select that but one OTU as well, and then you can check how much abundance of that particular OTU is present between different among different samples. So then we will obtain a phylogram. So what is this phylogram? So this is a visual representation of OTU relationship called a phylogram. So these are the OTU. So phylogram is differ from a cladogram in that their branch length of a phylogram are proportional to the amount of the chains inferred on a branch length. For example, here, so here we know that how much abundance. So the size of the circle represent how much abundance of this particular OTU is present. So then based on this, the color, whether it's which dyed it represents. So for this, it will represent pink, indicated chaudite, and HFD is represented by blue color. So this phylogram that will explain you exactly how these OTU are related with each other. So to calculate the diversity, that is alpha diversity measures. So what are different measures? That is, next is this Chow one and Shannon. So these are two important measures that actually quantify your alpha diversity. So this Chow estimate the utilize exploration, taking the actual number of the rare species found and determining the likelihood of other existing in that sample that was not observed. So this is necessary because specifically in case of the rare, so these species are under counted. Beside this, Chow also estimate total species richness, while in case of the Shannon diversity index, it is another measure of species diversity within a population. So the index considers the abundance of species in a community and uses a diversity index that calculate diversity based on the richness and evenness of those species in that community. So the abundance of species is represented as the proportion of total number of the species. So this diversity index varies. So higher the index, it indicates there is high diversity. So this is two different parameters that can measure your alpha diversity or the beta diversity. For example, here, so if you're looking at these two conditions, so you will understand how much which sample is actually more diverse. So in terms of alpha diversity, if you look at here, so as it consider natural number of abundance, so it represented this particular sample has higher diversity, that as high fat diet in comparison to the chaw diet. So similarly, even if we take consideration into the in terms of the Shannon parameter, we can again look at that it indicates HFD have high diversity in comparison to the other condition. So this is how you can analyze once you have your microbial composition, microbial data. So the next parameter that next plot that we have obtained, that is NMDS2. So what is this NMSDS? So it represents non-metric multi-dimensional scaling. So this NMD is actually something like PCA. So if you are familiar with PCA, so are you familiar with the PCA, principal component analysis? Yes. So instead of the PCA, here the similar kind of approach is used, that is NMDS. So NMDS, what it represents? It non-metric multi-dimensional scaling. So the goal of NMDS is to represent the original position of a data in a multi-dimensional space as accurately as possible using a reduced number of the dimensions. So that can be plotted easily. So what is the difference between PC and NMDS? So PC usually use the Euclidean distance, while NMD actually it relies on the rank order. So it is based on the distance only, distance or the this rank order of the ordinance. So this is the only the minor difference. So these it is kind of representing the same thing. So here we have one MDS component first and the second. So here we can look at based on this, we able to differentiate these two conditions. So here we have two HFD samples that are clearly separated in comparison to the other condition, that is Choudite condition. So this is how you can perform various kind of analysis once you have that abundance table of abundance or amplicon of abundance. Is it clear to you? So whenever you're going to run this pipeline, these are the main output that are you going to obtain. So how you can compare the different disease conditions. This is very important whenever you analyzing microbiome analysis. So you can, if you are interested to run any kind of analysis, so you can always obtain a data from the NCBI for the microbiome data. So once you have abundance table, that you can, that abundance table. So let me just show you why I'm talking about the abundance table. So the abundance table that we have obtained, that is from the data pipeline. So those are based on the another NMD based on the disease condition. This is how you can also further produce NMD based on different microbial composition. So now let me show you what is this NMD table. Sorry, I mean abundance table. So these are the actually the different steps that are explaining each and every step from the data pipeline. So first is like we have reached, then we are doing the quality check, and then we are going to merge that, and finally we are going to assign taxonomy and going to generate a phylogenetic sequencing object, that is abundance reads. So then we are going to perform, that is phyloseq analysis based on the abundance table. So this is what I was talking about, what is an abundance table. The table that we have obtained actually after running this data pipeline. So here we have, in the column we have OTU, and here we have samples. So how much each OTU is present in a particular sample, that is what we call as abundance table. So it is something like a gene expression table, but is the difference only here we are considering in OTU values. So here we are considering OTU value instead of the gene. So these OTU, then these can be further replaced with a particular species name. So these are the OTU. So the what is OTU? That is organizational taxonomical unit. So it could be bacteria species, it could be a kingdom, it could be any genus, depending on exactly what OTU that you are considering. So these are the samples. So based on, once you have this table, then phyloseq analysis actually run on this particular table. So if it is clear to you, now let me just take you another platform, that is Codeomics Logic platform, where you can also run this. Once you have this table from the DataSeq, you can run phyloseq analysis. So let's go over Codeomics logic platform. So are you able to log into this platform? So how many of you are able to log into Codeomics logic platform? So if you log in, to go to the courses, here just go to the this lesson, that is metagenomics. So there are the different lessons are available. You can visualize 16S metagenomics data. So I think this is already the phyloseq, metagenomics data visualization, taxonomic composition, and phylogenetic analysis. These are the premium lessons. And I don't know whether you have access to this, but meanwhile, we can go to this visualization of 16S. So here first, the pipeline and data sets are explained. So if you complete it, so this is the simply how you can visualize once you have that table. So if you run this pipeline, sorry. So you need to actually provide the path of this file, and I need to copy it from here. So we can just provide this path. I'm just copying it here in the chat. So here we need to provide the path of this particular file. So now if we run this pipeline, so here we, after running this pipeline, be able to, this is for a one sample. So this is for a one sample, and we will get how much composition of each of these microbial species is present. This is in the pie chart. And then we have this bar plot that will let us visualize that in this particular sample, how much a particular microbial species or OTU or taxonomic unit is present. So this is how we can simply run this pipeline and understand what each step is doing. So here first we are just reading our file. Here as we want to read Excel file, so that's why we uploaded this library Open Excel. So once you have done that, so then we have just done the annotation, and then we in using the pie chart, and the bar plot options, we just plot the composition of this particular data. So let me just show you exactly what this file contains. So here we are reading the fourth sheet. So just let me show you exactly what this file contains. So here we have this particular sample. If you remember, when we run our metagenomics pipeline, first pipeline, we got this kind of table for this sample, right? So we just pasted in the Excel, then we provided how much of each of these abundance is computed. So we calculated that, and that in the R that can be easily done with the table function. So it will produce something like this. So let me just show you where we are doing this. So here with the prop dot table, we actually computing that with this table, be able to compute this kind of information, that how much of each of these OTU is present, or each of these abundance, how much abundance of this each of these species. Then we generated this pie chart and this bar plot for that. So this is very simple and you can run. So what we are doing here, first we are just sorting, and we are producing a table and then sorting based on decreasing order. Then we just done the compute the composition by multiplying 100, and then we just pasting here the names. So then we are just with the pi and the bar plot function, we are plotting this particular table, that is here I'm representing in the Excel. So this table can be produced with the table command. So you can explore this platform whenever you get time yourself, exactly how each of these step what it is doing. So this is where you can how you can produce the you can composition, that is species composition. So beside, so these two lessons, particularly the phyloseq analysis, so this is the another lesson that will exactly produce all alpha diversity, NMSD, and all those plots can be produced by phylogenetic analysis. But this is a premium lesson. I don't know whether you able to access this lesson or not. So I'm just representing the second pipeline that we run after running the phyloseq. So here we can run all of these analysis. So I think it is just, yeah. Sorry, it is just so you can explore all these lessons. So if you have any questions for today's sessions, so you can explore. I think you are not, maybe not these two premium lessons are may not be accessible to you. So you can explore at least these two lessons, that is visualization of 16S metagenomics data. So this is the table that we have, and then for the each of OTU we can compute it. And these are the composition plots that will represent the composition of each of these species within a sample and between the sample. We can compare And this is what the phylogram that will represent. Then these are the alpha and the beta diversity. So then we have NMST. So these we can generate once we have that table, and we will understand exactly which is more diverse samples and the differences between the different disease conditions. So the assignment for you for the next session, before the next session, complete the metagenomics courses. So metagenomics, introduction to the metagenomics, and it will explain you the basic concept of the metagenomics, and metagenomics one where we like we already run first pipeline, how we can uh, reduce the microbiome composition within a sample, and then how we can perform various kind of analysis using amplicon analysis. So what are these alpha diversity, beta diversity, and what they represent? So that are very are explained in the detail in the metagenomics 2 course. So you can go through these courses if you want to learn about metagenomics in detail. So in the next session, we are going to talk about machine learning, where we're going to learn about supervised and unsupervised machine learning algorithms. So if you have any questions for today's session, you can ask. So we have a couple of minutes to take your questions. So whether you are facing any issue. Okay, so if you have no questions, so I think Atma, you need to just mail Bisa. That's great, Sandesh. Absolutely. So even sometimes it is difficult to explain everything in very much detail in a session. So that's why you can go through all those courses and understand all these concepts more in details. So thank you everyone for joining today's sessions.
Yeah, just before we leave, Atma, just let me know if you're logged into the Codomics Logic. You can go to codomicslogic.com. Yeah. And then you see the courses? Okay. Start exploring the courses, right? Which are given there, and I will be sharing the link to this particular course that you can go through. I think that will be helpful. I'll send it via email. All right, so we'll see each other then in the next session. Okay, have a great week everyone. Bye bye. Thank you, Dr. Harpreet.
Thank you, Bipsa.
Okay, Dr. Harpreet, if you can share the phylogenetic code later on with me, I will be able to email it to everyone. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.